77 days to election 2020. Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. Tonight, National Labour Commission and striking nurses in standoff, with Commission accusing the nurses of evading service and disrespecting a court order to call off the strike.
Well, as long as they remain on strike, that is the only option available to us.
Would you be citing them for contempt?
That is the only remedy if they continue with the strike.
We tell you why the Registered Nurses and Midwives Association is accusing the NLC of using the courts to intimidate them. Also, tonight, opposition NDC demands independent probe into ongoing voter exhibition exercise as it accuses the Electoral Commission of deliberately planting errors in the party's stronghold. Also tonight, governing MPP accuses former President Mahama of complicity in financial sector crisis leading to collapse of some banks and other financial institutions in business.
Center highlights the country's high investment attraction among its peers in these times despite COVID-19.
We have the details for you here on Newsnight. It is now a full-blown standoff between the National Labour Commission and striking nurses. According to the NLC boss, Asamoah Ofosu, the action of the nurses and midwives is in breach of a court order. Though the National Labour Commission has secured an injunction to halt the industrial action, the striking nurses maintain they have not been officially served. Scores of patients nationwide were left stranded at various hospitals across the country today following the strike. My colleague Manuel Kranting was at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital earlier and reports.
One by one, all the nurses on duty at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital walk out of the facility as they join their colleagues across the country in protest of what they describe as deplorable working conditions. Led by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, the striking nurses are complaining about government's unwillingness to meet their demands in negotiations which have been underway since September 2019. At the Accident Emergency Unit of Korle Bu, patients were turned away by nurses who were rounding up their shift. They will not even be allowed to pick their folders under the instruction, no new patients are being admitted.
And then we came back again and they are still telling us that because they are going on strike, we should take our patients away. So my question is, where to? This is somebody on oxygen. So where are we taking her to?
Around 2 a.m. at the dawn. When we came with emergency. We came to the emergency center. They told us there is no oxygen. And I'm telling them, are they supposed to tell me Korle Bu as a teaching hospital, the emergency center does not have an oxygen?
Well, in the northern region, many patients were left unattended. Martina Bugri has more.
They have collected the paper from there around 8 afternoon. The doctor has not yet. But they are telling us they are on strike, what and what. I don't even know what to do. So as of now from my children, my daughter from, she's at home. When I wake up, she was sleeping. I didn't even back her.
I can see tears in your eyes. What's going through your mind?
As now, because they've not taken any care of my sister. And when she's vomiting still, the blood is coming. So I don't even know what to do.
Elias Otanko is joining me live now from the northeast region with an update on how this is affecting healthcare delivery there. Elias, what can you report?
Well, at the Wale Government Hospital, patients are being turned away. In fact, I spoke to one lady who said she has given birth and had an appointment with the nurse. She came, she was turned away. I spoke to a man who came from a village called Yama. He brought his anemic wife. He also has been turned away. There are several patients who have been turned away in one of the wards, that is specifically the female ward. The doctor there were discharging all the patients there. He told them they should go elsewhere to seek health care. The dispensary were empty, the emergency and most of the facilities were also empty. So I can tell you that patients keep coming, but they are being turned away by authorities of the hospital.
Lasso, thank you very much. Also joining me is Richard Kojonyako in the Central Region. Richard, what's the situation in the Central Region? Any different? You've been to the Ankerful Psychiatric Hospital.
So, Evans, two key facilities are visited, the Ankerful Psychiatric Hospital and then the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. The Ankerful Psychiatric Hospital, the situation was pretty fluid. There were a lot of relatives who had come to the hospital to get some medical attention for their mentally challenged relative, but they met no one. The nurses were not there. They were also told that the doctors would be coming to attend to them, but they have not been able to see any of them. And those whose relatives were exhibiting some violent behavior, they had to manage them. And so it's been very difficult for the people here. And then they are hoping against hope that the doctors will show up. And so some of them will be sleeping. Others that also travel from very far away places, they will also be getting some places to sleep with the hope that tomorrow the situation will improve and then their relatives would get some attention. At the neonatal intensive care unit at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, there was no nurse there, and so the doctors had to also manage the situation there. So it's really quite a difficult situation for the relatives that brought their patients to the hospital today.
Well, Kojo, thank you very much. Well, for the nurses, they will continue with the industrial action. We can now listen to the General Secretary of the Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, David Tinkran-Chum.
Can we defy the orders of the court? What we expect them to do is to do the right thing. They must do the right thing. They have the powers of the High Court. Why didn't they write to us as Labour Commission to restrain us from embarking on this journey instead of going to the High Court to secure injunction? It is just an intimidatory ploy, and we will not be intimidated.
Mr. Tinkran, are you aware that if a letter of service is posted on the notice board of your premises, the court deems it as you've been served? You're aware of that, right?
What I'm saying is that I have not read it. No agent of the association has read any letter and notified us saying. So if it is there, you place the letter Friday evening and officers of the association are not there. This is a long weekend. It's a holiday. How do you expect us to see? So how can you just sit in your office and come to that logical conclusion that we have been notified?
Has the letter gotten to your office or not? In one breath, you say you are not aware of the letter. In another breath, you say that it got to your office after you left there at 3 p.m. Is this in your office or not?
That. Don't misquote me. What I'm saying is that he is alleging that he brought a letter, Bailey brought a letter. I have not admitted or said anything that the letter got here. I'm not aware of any letter that has been sent.
I just wanted to clarify that, if I may, Mr. Tinkran. I was asking earlier, when the High Court is serving a person and the person can't be found, we have seen that precedent has been set that if this notice is put on the notice board, you are deemed as served. Are you aware of this?
What I'm saying is that what shows that we cannot be traced.
Well, that is the General Secretary of the Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, David Tinkran, speaking on the Pulse on the Multi TV a short while ago with my colleague Daniel Dadzi on the question of the service that the National Labour Commission insists they have done with the injunction they secured from the court. Well, the Executive Secretary of the NLC, Ms. Ofusua Samoa, disagrees that the nurses were not duly served.
We have 7 commissioners, members of the commission. But being sitting there as the executive secretary of the nation, no, not a member of the commission. A service of a note on me or any process on me is deemed to be a service on the commission. In the same way, as the general secretary, he doesn't sit in their office 24 hours. That is why they have engaged an administrator. I didn't talk about a typist secretary or a messenger. He's the administrator of the office. So we are effecting service on him. We wanted to serve Perpetua, their president, or he, the general secretary. And both of them were evading service. So we had to serve it on the administrator, who came out and said that he is under instructions. He works under instructions. What the instructions, specific instructions were, we don't know. But what he said is that he will not take it. I spoke to him in person. I am not saying I sent somebody else.
When you say the president and general secretary are evading service. What do you mean?
They said, I come to look for the MD of Joy FM. And said the Joy FM and management are in a meeting. I tell you, I have a process to serve on them. Please wait at the reception when they come. Before,
he said he wasn't there. He says he left the office around 3 p.m. on Friday. He was not there.
Around what?
Around 3 p.m. on Friday. He was not there when your officer got there to serve
we were not in the meeting. It is their same administrator who said they were in a meeting.
Well, you had the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, Ofosu Asama. Let me hear from you if you've been affected by the strike today, 0244340437. Now, the opposition NDC is tonight demanding an independent probe into some constituencies in the ongoing vote exhibition exercise. The party claims the new register has failed the credibility test, as unique voter ID numbers have been handed to multiple voters. The party also alleges there are some polling stations where more than 200 names have vanished. The party's Director of Elections, Elvis Ankra, has been presenting findings from what he says is the party's assessment of the exercise so far.
Our observations show widespread anomalies at various exhibition centers across the country. So far, our officials and agents have reported anomalies from all regions, including except Aswasi in the Ashanti region. So what I'm saying is that there are anomalies everywhere, but in Ashanti region, it is only in Aswasi that we are seeing major anomalies. So you can do your own analysis. This has already given us cause to believe that the anomalies and distortions in the register may be deliberate, as it is widespread in our strongholds. We have come to the conclusion that the current provisional register cannot be relied on as the provisional register, as the level of distortion is incredible.
Well, Elvis Ankra also raised allegations about 7 persons in the Laura constituencies, where he says that individuals are allegedly been deliberately taken out of the register.
In Laura, at a polling station called Tongo, 439 people were registered, but the provisional voters register had the names of only 7 people. As many as 432 names went missing. I mean, how is this possible? This is not the first time we're doing a registration in this country. It's unprecedented that at the particular polling station where we have 439 people, as many as 437 names have gone missing. 432. So you have only 7 names on the entire register. Does it make sense? A so-called new register, new machines, and the register is bloated and deduplication and all those things. Is that the result?
Elvis Ankra is the NDC's Director of Elections. The Electoral Commission says they've taken note of the allegations and they will be issuing a statement to address the concerns raised by the NDC. When we receive that statement, we'll bring the EC's explanations to you. Now, President Akufo-Addo, who is also the chairperson of ECOWAS, has committed to ensure that the SAP regional body assists member states going to the polls this year, avert electoral crisis. Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Ghana all go to the polls before the end of the year. Speaking in Nigeria while visiting the offices of the ECOWAS Commission, President Akufo-Addo said the countries will get the needed support for free, fair, and peaceful elections. The president also appealed for support from member states to adequately equip the ECOWAS Commission.
Inasmuch as our institutions are strong, we need to enhance their capacities to enable them deliver on their mandate. All necessary support for the enhancement of the capacities of the community institutions must be forthcoming. A well-functioning ECOWAS rebounds to the benefit of each of its member states.
President Akufo-Addo. Now, the governing MPP is tonight accusing former President Mahama of complicity in a financial sector crisis. The party at a news conference claimed the former president's poor management during his tenure eventually led to the collapse of banks and the merger of others. Nana Komia is a member of the party's communications team.
What is the background of this banking crisis that has engulfed the nation? I can tell you without any doubt at all that the banking crisis was caused by the inefficiencies of President Mahama's administration between the period 2012 to 2016. You will recall that a 2016 Financial Stability Report of the Bank of Ghana revealed that bad loans on the banks of commercial banks in the country had increased by 14.9% to 4.52 billion in 2015 as against 2.72 billion in 2014. So in 2014, the amount of bad loans on the books of the banks was 2.72 billion Ghana cedis. Just a year after, in 2015, the amount of bad loans had increased from 2.72 billion to 4.52 billion in just 1 year. Indeed, President Mahama himself, in the State of the Nation address in 2016, stated, and I quote, "Mr. Speaker, over the past 5 years, there has been a proliferation of microfinance companies. These companies come under the supervision of the Bank of Ghana. Unfortunately, the lack of effective supervision has resulted in many cases in which microfinance companies licensed by the Bank of Ghana have breached the rules and created pyramid schemes that have eventually come crashing down." So you have President Mahama himself admitting in the State of the Nation address in 2016 that over the last 5 years, that's from 2011-2012, there was a banking crisis in the financial sector of Ghana. Actually, in those last 5 years that President Mahama mentioned, 82 microfinance companies had collapsed. Now, after this admission by President Mahama, let's look at his response, the government's response over the period to this crisis. The response of President Mahama to this crisis in the banking sector, ladies and gentlemen, was very simple. Throw more money at them. One bank, Capital Bank, for example, was given a total of 620 million cedis of taxpayers' monies.
Nana Kumia is a member of the NPP's communications team. So listening to this 30 minutes edition of Newsnight on the holiday, George Yaffe joins me with the latest from the world of business. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And coming up in business, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center highlights the country's high investment attraction among its peers despite COVID-19, which has affected the movement of capital around the world. And MTN offers 5% bonus to all research till the end of this year in what it describes as an absorption of the communication service tax. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank. We are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank. How can we help you? Let's now settle for the details. Now, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center says the country still remains the preferred destination for capital attraction despite COVID-19. The pandemic has impacted negatively on the movement of capital around the world. But speaking to Joy Business, Chief Executive of Ghana says that the interest in Ghana can be attributed to a favorable investment climate that has actually attracted these capital.
What has happened over the past 3 years is a great testament to the fact that this is a country that is well positioned as the best FDI recipient or the most attractive FDI recipient in West Africa by global authorities, not by ourselves. We have aggressive plans of development, and some of the policies that we have themselves have been very instructive in bringing foreign direct investment to partner with local enterprises to grow. For example, we've seen that in terms of number of investments that have come in since the quarter one. In the first quarter, we registered 47 projects. In the second quarter, we registered 21 projects. A significant proportion of them are in manufacturing. And always they respond that, oh, yes, we like the 1D, 1F concept. And so that's where we want to put money.
And that's Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant. From today, any recharge on voice, data, and mobile money for MTN subscribers will witness a 5% bonus, and this offer is expected to last till the end of this year. Now, this follows actually what the company describes as a decision by telecoms giant to absorb the 4% communication service tax. The move is part of efforts to help cushion consumers in these challenging times. Saloma Dadivo is Chief Executive of MTN Ghana.
As far as MTN's approach to this, it's been, we've reduced the CST from 9% to 5%, as was directed. But what we've also done is we've given till the end of the year, we've given a 5% bonus on recharge back to our customers. So that effectively, is an absorption of the CST for the next 6 months. And again, as part of our Yellow Care office, as part of COVID, to ease the burden on customers till the end of the year. So this is what we've added in terms of that implementation.
Has it been that smooth for you? I would say that, and it might be early days yet, but have you seen some spike in traffic?
No, it's early days. And I think basically what happens is, because this is a benefit that has been passed through directly to consumers, consumers will continue to use this benefit in the ways that matter to them. So I'm not expecting to see spike in traffic. I think basically what you'd see is people's spend will go a little bit longer.
And that is Chief Executive of MTN Ghana, Selom Adatifo. Now, the Ghana Tourism Authority is challenging claims of not doing enough to promote domestic tourism. The push for local tourism has been highlighted during the COVID-19 virus, which actually affected international tourists that were unable to come to this country because of this challenge. But Chief Executive Akwesi Agyeman says they have done very well in actually dealing with this challenge.
We do the monitoring of 10 top visited sites locally. So I'll give you numbers. So for example, in 2016, we're looking at somewhere around 427,000 within the top 10. Currently, we are closer to 600,000. So that is a significant leap. And fortunately for us, about 70% of these site visitations are by Ghanaians, are not foreigners who have come in. So no matter what somebody tells you, I mean, if you look at the data, for example, last time I was watching, I think Joy Business, you were showing the data from the castles, Mina and Cape Coast. You see the numbers go up. It's not just foreigners. You have a significant amount of Ghanaians traveling. Now, when you talk about business along the value chain, if you take events, I mean, corporate events that happen in other markets. So, for example, people moving from here to, let's say, Royal Century for business conference. These are all classified as tourism. And the numbers there, too, have been improving over the years.
Akwesi Agyeman is Chief Executive of the Ghana Tourism Authority. And that's all for the holiday edition of Business on Newsnight.
George, thank you very much. Now, it was a bloody weekend as 12 people were killed with dozens injured in different accidents across the country. It brings the number of persons killed in recorded accidents in a week to more than 30. Personnel of the MTTD are alarmed by the situation and have issued a warning to drivers. Maxwell Abagba has more.
The scene of the accident on the Kaswa Cape Coast Highway at a spot very close to Budumburam. A driver and his mate were killed by an articulated truck Sunday afternoon.
Mate and the driver, and I know more car.
The driver and his conductor were in the car, then started doing a U-turn to the other side of the road. The tipper truck was also coming with top speed at the other side and ended up crashing the van. We then looked under the car and saw someone's leg hanging. We realized later it was the driver's mate.
6 young footballers between the ages of 12 and 16 died in an accident at Ofenso in the Ashanti region on Saturday after their vehicle veered off the road into the Ofen River. The divisional commander for the Ofenso MTT, the DSP Edmond Nyameche, has details.
Allegedly lost control of the steering, and then the car veered off the road and hit an embankment breach, and then finally landed in the river.
Meanwhile, in the northeast region, a policeman died with 2 of his colleagues in critical condition after a bus rammed into their vehicle, which was parked on the side of the road for patrol duties. Northeast Regional Police Commander DCOP Kojo Entry Tabi says one of the police officers is in coma. With more than 30 recorded road accident deaths in less than a week, many are concerned. The Ofenso Divisional Commander of the Motor Traffic and Transport Department has this advice for motorists.
abide by the road regulations. No, you don't have to overspeed. When your way is not clear, you don't overtake. And that is mostly some of the offenses they commit.
Well, Maxwell Agbagba filed that report, and 4 more people also were killed at Nyante in the eastern region over the weekend after a head-on collision between a taxi and a private vehicle. Remember that Arrive Alive is one of those campaigns that you should be paying attention to. Use the hashtag, but most importantly, be safe on the road. Kill your speed before it kills you. That's how you arrive alive. And it's brought to you by Toyota Ghana, Bedrock Insurance, and Logistics Movers. Founder of the Perez Chapel, Bishop Charles Ajinasari, says his comments about Ghana's governance system are aimed at national transformation. Bishop Ajinasari has been in the news in recent times for criticizing various events in the country, drawing both praise and criticism. Speaking to MFA Pau on the lockdown on the Joy News channel, the man of God said some norms about the country's politics must change.
It's not something that I've just started doing. I've been doing it. The late Vice President Aliu Mama was my neighbor. President Kufuor, I even do a lot of stuff for his foundation. His Excellency John Mahama and the wife were in Tamale. They are not the only people who are my friends. Okay. Our president, Nana Addo Dankwa, I've known him from when he was Attorney General, Foreign Minister, etc. It's amazing people make it look like we are enemies. No, it's not like that.
Are you NDC?
I'm not.
It appears that you are more lenient towards the NDC than you would be to the NPP.
But in this country, depending on what you say at what time, you are branded. If you say something in a time when it favors a particular group, then you belong to the group.
Are you on a regime-changing agenda?
No.
You're not?
Why would I want to change regimes when I believe that political parties have the same mother? Why would I decide that when the nation is at stake, I would choose sides? I wouldn't do that. It's bigger than a political party. It's the nation we are talking about.
Perez Chapel founder Bishop Charles Ajinasari. 40 preliminary winners, 14 top runners-up, and 27 seeded schools made up of St. Augustine's College, Wesley Girls, Adisadel College, Prempeh College, and more have started arriving at the University of Ghana for the next stage of the National Science and Maths Quiz. The progression of the schools to the quarterfinals depend on the ability to win their contest at this level. Now, balloting is scheduled to take place on Wednesday. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
27 seeded schools made up of defending champions Ogasco, Prempeh College, Presec Legon, Wesley Girls High School, Adisadel College, Achimota School, St. Peter's SHS, Accra Academy, Upokuwari School, and more will all be moving to the University of Ghana campus to join the contest from the elimination stage. This is by virtue of their qualification to the quarterfinals of last year's competition. They'll be joined by the 40 preliminary winners like Infante Pem School, Thomas Aquinas SHS, Archbishop Porter Girls SHS, Bishop Herman College, Holy Child School, Anglican SHS Kumasi, and more. Many are tipping Kumasi Anglican as contenders for the grand finale after they qualified to the next stage with 75 points, the highest at this year's national prelims. The two supercars contestants were on the NSMQ stage last year. Even in Form 2, they proved to be a force to reckon with. That experience will be needed on stage this year. But all the schools are determined to earn the bragging rights. Here are the contestants from Koforidua Secondary Technical School.
Make sure that next year of the contest, our Form 2s will not have to go through all this stress, that at least they will be seeded in the competition next year.
The gentleman from Bishop Herman College.
Bishop Herman College they've qualified to the next stage of the competition of the National Science and Math Quiz. Let's speak to the contestants. Let's find out from them what it feels like right now.
I feel the preparations we did should have fetched us more marks than this.
Managing Director of Primetime Limited, Nanekia Ankuma Asari, expressed satisfaction with adherence to COVID-19 protocols. She's expecting more competitive contests from the 1/8 stage, which starts on Monday, 28th September.
Oh, I'm expecting the competition to get keener because you have some of the big names, in NSMQ history now joining. So there's going to be a lot more excitement. There's also the fact that the prizes are going to get better, and that always causes competition. It really engages everybody. I think that.
Well, the excitement is building. Well, only 3 girls' schools won contest out of nearly 20 in the National Science and Maths Quiz preliminaries in the Northern Zone, Bona Hafo, and Ashanti regions. Join News' PAC Nanaya Safo with highlights of the preliminary contest in the following report.
I think we are bringing winning. We are having a very high morale that today we are going to do miracles. Victory!
All schools arrived with expectations of triumph. For 10 out of 16 participating in the Northern Zone preliminaries, the contest ended in defeat and tears. This included the only girls' school in the region with a shot at the 1/8 stage, Tamale Girls SHS.
I think we could have done better. I think the problem was just the second round, speed race. Unfortunately, on our part, we were not fast enough.
Zabzugu Senior High School, St. Francis Xavier Junior Seminary, St. Charles Minor Seminary, Bogatanga SHS, Navrungo SHS, and the Northern School of Business grabbed the titles of various contests, securing their places in the 1/8 stage of the competition.
These are my boys and then my college teacher Emmanuel. We've been preparing them, and there is a verse in our anthem that we were crippled, but we are now strong like Sundia. We've been there before. We've gone up to the 1/8 stage. This time we are targeting the finals.
The Blue Zone saw a turn of luck for the girls' schools as both Our Lady of Mount Carmel SHS and Notre Dame girls won their slots.
The Lord that has given us the strength to reach here and win the contest will surely help us to make it by the grace of God.
Well, better luck to those who lost, and all the best to those yet to take on the contest in the next stage. That's it for Newsnight this holiday. Just before we go, a quick few messages on our WhatsApp console. On the strike by the nurses, Doe Nketa says it is very sad that the government couldn't do anything about this since last week. And Nicola says it is very regrettable that we have to take this step, but the employer is to blame because we cannot be working in the country doing all this manner of risk job over the years without any conditioning of service. It is obvious that without us there cannot be health. A few of your thoughts there. Enjoy the rest of your holiday.